Hello, welcome to Nerd. My name is Veronica, and today I want to talk about why you need to really love your writing. Because we live in a world where criticism comes so easily and praise is very stingy. We have to be our biggest supporters. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to really advocate for ourselves because no one else is gonna do it for you. All of those are true, but I just really need to show off my new candle, okay? Oh, can we just appreciate my candles for a bit? It's from Rituals. It's called Smooth Violet. It's quite strong, but look, it's so pretty. Anyway, I just wanted to say that I'm sitting here enjoying it because I'm having a bit of a day because my migraines that I just recently learned are classified as chronic migraines, so yay me, is having a field day inside my head right now. Anyway, loving your writing is super important, not only for the longevity of your career, but also for the content you're producing. It's very easy to tell when someone is just writing something for the sake of writing it or just to get, the bag. Which I don't fault anyone for, because like trends and everything, it's all so commodified, which is kind of a weird thing because it is a commodity that you are purchasing and all of that stuff. It's more like drop shipping. It's become more like drop shipping, the way we chase trends and how people are just getting into it, like, just finish this book so that you can start on the next one, and there's no core to it, there's no feeling to it. You can very easily tell when someone has given up on writing something that they actually stand behind or they like, as opposed to just, oh, I found this formula that worked and people are buying it, so I'm just writing the same thing over and over again and getting money for it. Which I can't fault anyone for, with living in a capitalistic hellscape and all of that stuff, but I personally want to have a career where I am happy and proud of everything that I put out because it is something I believe in. And there will be times when it flops and it will be times when it's successful, and I have to come to terms with both of these things. And we as writers need to come to I'm saying things so fast, come to terms with the fact that sometimes we will create something that we feel like we really like, but commercially it's not going to be a success. Does that mean that what you created was terrible? No, it was just either you hit the market wrong, the timing was off, or maybe your marketing or your cover or blurb weren't really conveying what the genre expects. There can be a range of different reasons, but I find that very rarely it is that you created something so terrible that it just was doomed to fail. No, like that kind of book can definitely come back in a few years when the trends shift and everything, and maybe in 5 years that's now a commercial success. You never know what you're gonna get, which is why having a backlog is so important and can be so beneficial for you. But at the same time, it can be very difficult emotionally to deal with a flop in the moment that it happens. And that is where loving your writing comes in. I'm sure that a lot of the authors that I read that I personally classified, like, you have found a formula and you've given up on improving and all of that stuff, they still love their writing and they are still proud of it, which they deserve to be, which they should be. Just as much as you should be happy with what you're producing and loving what you're doing, because you need to love the process in this type of career. Because if you just love the end result, you're not really enjoying writing, because 99% of writing a book, being an author, is creating this story and the book and everything. It's more than just, here, I have a book, the cover is done, the editing is done, the marketing is done, it's success, whatever. That's such a small percentage of what you are doing in this career that if you don't love the entire process, you will not last. You are going to be miserable. And we don't want that. The whole, starving, sad, depressed artist creating the best art is a total lie. The happier and the more secure financially, emotionally, mentally, whatever you are, the more you can produce. Yes, I think that there's a sliver of truth in the creating good art if you're a struggling artist, simply because a lot of the literature or the art from that time was very aligned with being dark and emotional and moody. And of course, if you are struggling, those feelings are going to come very easy to you, and you're going to be able to convey them in a very relatable way because you are suffering. So if you're wanting to write books that are like all about suffering, yeah, you could probably tap into that and create really good books, but you are also not going to be able to sustain it. We live in a world, right? We live in a world where we have so many responsibilities and stuff we need to do. Like, we have our own worlds on our own shoulders, and probably you have caretaking responsibilities, or you have health issues, or whatever it is. We have so much stuff that is weighing us down. Your career should not be one of them, especially not if you have the option to choose what your career is. Not everyone does have that ability, but so if you have that, why choose one where you suffer? You should enjoy what you're doing to the point. Like, I want to be perfectly clear here. This whole hustle culture of if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life is a complete and utter fucking lie. Do not buy into that, please. You will have days where something you love you will hate it. The point isn't to reach this state of like constant joy and easiness. That is not what life is. That is not realistic. That is not achievable. What you want to find is that, yeah, you're having a bad day and the writing isn't coming, the editing isn't working, you know, the creativity isn't really there, and all of that. I don't know how I pronounce that, but whatever. Moving on. You need to find one where, yeah, you can have a bad day, but the majority of days, you're good. You like it, you love it, you're entertained by it, you're motivated by it, all of that stuff. You should look at the reality of things and say, if more days than not, I hate it, it's probably not for me. So loving your writing is a key component in order to be successful and long-term author. If you just feel like, hey, I have 3 books that I want to write and then I'm done, I mean, go for it. But if you are the kind of person who wants to make being an author your career, that this is what you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life, you need to really frame it in your mind that I need to love the process, because having good, entertaining books out there is the easiest part of being an author. The easiest part is or the hardest part is to deal with the dark days, the heavy days, the flops and the misery and the accounting and the budgeting and the marketing and, you know, building it from the ground up. Those are the heavy steps. Having books that you can just talk about is the easiest thing out of being an author. And that's why you should really make sure that you love your writing. Because if you don't love your writing, why would readers? You have so much to give to this world that isn't suffering, and I really think that you should lean into the positivity. And I don't mean that in a toxic way of like, oh, everything is good, everything else is on fire. No, but you should lean into the things that brings you joy, because when you are happy, you make better choices. You are also a positive influence on all people around you, and we need more joy and happiness and positivity in this world, because we're all dealing with the reality we live in. So therefore, it's better for everyone that you make sure that you don't suffer with the choices that you're making. And you should really embrace the fact that if this is what you want to do, then be proud of that, because you're doing something amazing. You are building worlds from the ground up. You are creating an emotional experience for your readers, and that is something to be very happy with and very proud of. And that's why you need to really make sure that, hey, am I happy with what I'm creating? Because personally, it's something that lies very close to my heart, is being proud of everything you put out. That you should be able to stand behind what you are creating. Will there be times when you learn things and time changes or something is problematic? Yes, absolutely. And you should be aware enough and capable enough to go, hey, I fucked up and I will do better. I'm learning this way, etc., etc. But the overarching thing should be something that you say, like, I understand that this part is problematic and I do not intend to continue doing this, but the whole book in and of itself, or the story, I am proud of and I will stand behind it. If you feel like you're creating something that you will be embarrassed by 5 years down the road, then you should probably reevaluate if this is the thing that you should be making. And I talked about pivoting in a previous video, that changing this up can be very scary for people. And people are scared of like dropping a series that they're writing or changing the contents a bit. And I understand that to a certain degree. But if you are no longer feeling it, you're no longer happy with it, or you're no longer proud of it, why keep going just for the sake of keep going? There is the asterisk, of course, of the financial stuff, etc. There's a lot of nuance to everything. And unfortunately, the internet is not necessarily super good at keeping nuance in mind when discussing things, but I think that it is very important to keep it in mind. What I'm trying to say is, of course, there are nuances to this, and it's not applicable to everyone. There are people out there who are like, I need to keep writing this specific series because that is the only thing that is keeping a roof over my head, and then that is perfectly fine. That is fair. Of course, this kind of mentality or advice or whatever you want to call it does not apply to you, because you are aware of your situation and you have to make decisions based on your own situation and awareness. My point is rather maybe have this as a long-term goal, that when you get out of this situation, which you will, is to maybe like, I want to be able to create things that I'm proud of and that I am happy with and I can put my whole heart behind. It doesn't have to be your current reality. I'm going off on a tangent here, but basically nuance is always a thing and you should apply it to yourself whenever it's needed. Take advice. I had a whole video about the difficulties of making like giving and taking advice. You should check it out. And I don't know which side it is on. Somewhere here, the card thing. You should check it out for the advice part, because basically it boils down to you need to keep your own nuances and everything in mind, and I have to be a little bit careful with how I phrase things, and that's why the advice is always more general, because it applies to the most people, but you can also add in your own nuances. That is like the whole video in a nutshell. I highly recommend it if you're feeling like, okay, I'm getting a lot of advice, but it never really fits me because it's very general. So, loving your writing is not just good for your career, but it's also very important for you, because if you like something, you are more inclined to continue doing it without it hurting you. Of course, there's another balance to it where you might push through harder than you should because you love something, and that's something that you need to check yourself on as well. But I stand by the fact that I think that you need to love your writing in order to make this a proper career or a long-term career and sustainable and all of that stuff, and you shouldn't suffer. That is not something that you should glorify or uphold or put a pedestal on, whatever. You need to really be your own biggest supporter. There are so many people out there that will love your work that you just need to believe in yourself enough to make that a reality, because it's inevitable that you will have success. Will it be a household zeitgeist level success? Statistically not, but there are so many mid-list authors that are making a full-time living on this and are doing so well, and like in their little niche, they are really loved and they have all of their readers. And that is what is so fantastic. There are readers and viewers, subscribers to anything out there, that there are always people who are like you and love the things that you love, and if you produce content for them, eventually, inevitably, they will find you. I hope that you found this video uplifting and positive and all of that stuff, because that's the goal of it, that to give you some encouragement to keep going, because what you're doing is amazing and you're doing so well, and I look forward to seeing you out there as a fellow author. But make sure to subscribe if you like this type of video, this type of content. Let me know down below if you do. And with that, I'm gonna wish you a happy day, night, wherever you are in a time stream, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!